Hello and welcome. I am excited to bring to you such a trailblazer. Janine has been in my world. Well, oh my gosh, when did you join? I can't remember life before you. So when did you join the inner
Actually,
circle?
7 or 8 months ago.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I felt like it was coming up to in the next few months, probably coming up to a year. So she's been inside my world, inside the inner circle for the last 7 or 8 months. And she is the founder of Rich and Happy. And if you get to know her, which you will today, you're gonna meet her and get to know all about her. That is the perfect description of you. When I think about you and your energy and just everything about you, you just really embody rich and happy is like the best two adjectives to describe you. So and your work, right? So and I love this so much, but I'm so excited to introduce everyone in my audience to you so they can hear more about you and your incredible work and also about your experience inside the inner circle.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate all your warm words. Thank you.
Now, Jeanine is just the most incredible world traveler. Whenever I see her on Instagram or speak to her, she's always somewhere incredibly exotic in the world. And we are so excited to be talking to her today. So, why don't you share a little bit about your time in my world? Because I'm pretty sure, based on our previous conversations, that you bought the Make Money bundle and then you came into the inner circle, maybe, if I remember correctly.
Yes, it's definitely right. So maybe I feel like I want to share this aspect about our journey and our connection because I was following you on Instagram. And before investing into the inner circle, I've invested in a lot of programs and it felt like just like Netflixing. And obviously, I take full responsibility, but if I contemplated very often, I had the feeling I didn't get good value for my money. And I understand it's always two ways. So when I saw your offers, I'm like, Leanne is just like another like of those like let me talk
Yeah.
woman. So I was skeptical. I was skeptical not because of the money, but more because of the experiences I
Yeah.
had before. So when I bought the Make Money bundle, I'm like, whatever, there's like low risk, like let me try. And I started immediately implementing the frameworks, the story frameworks, and I don't remember, it's like 9 months ago now, but it immediately was like a 10 or 15K sale increase. And my audience is relatively small on
Yeah.
Instagram, and I never really paid too much attention to it. Let me put it like that before I came into your world. So I'm like, oh wow, this is so mind blowing. Like the results I got from just implementing from one training. So I'm like, okay, I'm convinced, I'm all in. Let me do the inner circle because it really felt like I want to master all the things you were talking about, like messaging, but also the funnels, and now slowly working my way towards ads. And it's been really a game changer, I have to admit. I'm a former investment banker, and I always helped startups from like IPO, from like idea to IPO, so to become listed on the stock exchange, and was always moving like millions and multi-millions. It's kind of my natural frequency I grew up in, I kind of want to say. So my company hit its first million in sales already like after 12 months and like made over 15 million in 5 years with an audience of like in total maybe 3,000 people.
Hmm.
So I would say I never had any issues when it comes to sales. Obviously, there's no limit like an upper rate, but in general, comparing myself, I would say this was not what I was like struggling with. It was more building an audience and like funnels and having this long-term perspective. Really, you taught me always asking like, what's next for your customer? What's next? Like, what's next?
Hmm.
Like really building something long term. I was always a person that was focused on the short-term things, like short-term cash injections, my old love language before I came to you. And obviously it worked, but the price I paid was, it felt like I always had to start from scratch.
Yeah.
And being in business for over 5 years, it reached a point where internally it felt exhausted.
Hmm. And I think that's really interesting because I think that there are so many women like you who and okay, you're a bit of a unicorn, I would say, in certain elements of like the amount of money that you're used to bringing in and the way that you've been able to build your business without really a strong, like huge social media focus. And it's a reflection of how exceptional you are at your work. But I also think that it's so common that we build these businesses as women, and I know I've experienced it too, that we don't really understand that that feeling of like starting from scratch starts off as kind of exciting, and then all of a sudden it becomes kind of exhausting. And even when you have a more freedom-based business model, that starting from scratch, just nervous system wise, feels starts to feel really heavy, even if it was feeling really light. But there are so many amazing women who come into my world and didn't struggle necessarily to make sales or close clients. Like they're exceptional at what they do, like you, like are such a good example of the types of trailblazers that I attract, where you're making a lot of money, but you're desiring a different experience and looking at more of that long-term strategic scaling where you're not obviously starting from scratch, because you know how to make money all day long. You've been doing it, like you said, for 5 years, right? $50 million later, you're not struggling to make sales, but there are different ways of experiencing that. And I love that you came in with such an open heart and an open mind around those strategies and around starting to give social media some intentional focus and the funnels and more of those kind of longer term, reoccurring revenue scalable strategies.
Yeah. And also, I would like to add really something I've learned from you, more like on a soft skill side, right? I mean, obviously, we talk a lot about business and money, but also you always sharing so openly, like, I feel like your messaging, like love messaging, is really authority driven. It's like, it's just you. If I think about you, you are just like the authority of messaging. It's just like your natural genius. There's no doubt it's just Leanne. And really, like for a while, I thought I had to copy you, as I'm like, you were trying to tell me this in the beginning, like, hey, be more in like the authority frameworks. And I really looked back at my content and realized, hey, I embody an authority, but so differently than you do.
Mhm.
And this really like helped me so much becoming more of myself, because when I reflected on my content and what was driving for me, it's really talking about like also love and having an open heart in the business world and really being yourself. So I
Mhm.
feel like I've learned so much more than like business and strategy and money, but really, and on a deeper level, who am I and what is like my version of my authority and how can I embody that? And this is really something I've implemented just in the last like 2, 3 months, but I feel such a shift in content, interactions, sales. It's really mind blowing.
I love that. And I do love that because I think that it's really easy to for people to come in and think that they do need to sound like me or be like me. But to your point, authority looks different for everybody. And you know this because this is a big part of what you teach. It's we are all so uniquely different. And what resonates for me is because I'm being my authentic self. So I love that you came in and you recognize that. I think that so many of the women in the especially in the inner circle, because I think the conversations that we have, the access to me, the level of depth that we can go to, whether it be inside Rich Queen Riffs or the weekly calls or whatever it may be. I think there's such a power in watching someone be so in their authenticity that you are then able to reflect back to yourself, like what does that look like for me, and bring that more into your messaging and understand that what's working for me is working for me because it's authentic to me, right? And that, like you said, that texture of my authority messaging might not be the same as the texture that it works for you. But I love that you have really noticed a significant shift in having that reflected back to you to be able to implement that in your own messaging. And it's social media and everything is way more fun when you're being yourself. That's the best
Yeah.
part.
Yeah, also because you've asked me earlier, like about some like wild results I have, and if I can like clearly relate them to the inner circle. And in January, there's one thing I want to share, also kind of to show like, yes, everything you teach we can follow, but we really can make this our own version.
Mhm.
And for me, it's like one thing I've learned so much from you is really this like dream client concept, going like really in depth, like what is it that my dream client really craves? And for me, it's really like she's just so bored. It's like a woman, she doesn't struggle, she doesn't have issues. It's like really like an underlying theme I see in my clients. They're just so bored. Like with life, they scroll so much because they're so bored. So we were in Japan, my husband and I, in the beginning of the year, and this was like really in my mind always like, how can I do something exciting? And what they do in Japan for New Year, it's a really big thing. Like even the designers participate is so-called lucky bags. It's like a mystery bag. You don't know what's in it, but the value is at least double or triple. And for instance, like Louis Vuitton has a like a secret collection, a secret lucky bag collection, which you don't know what's in it, but you know it's like secret and it's only in a lucky bag you can get. So what's in Japan, it's like massive. Like literally the donut store, like the car dealership, the dentist, everybody's offering lucky
Like it
bags.
doesn't discriminate. It's like luxury
Oh,
brands all the way down. I love this.
everybody. It's more like depending on what's in the lucky bag will determine how amazing your upcoming year is. So it's more about the tradition and celebration. And we had lucky bags. I'm like, this is so cool. I'm gonna do like rich and happy lucky bags. Was super spontaneous, like an impulse. And really, like, I think my dream client is really gonna love this because it's exciting. And she loves little exciting things, right? So we offered lucky bags for like 22, 222, 2022, 22,000 and 222,000. And I sold over $700,000 in lucky bags in like 5 days. Even one person purchased like a lucky bag for 222,000, not knowing what's in it. And I think it's so my like it blew my own mind. But on the same hand, it was so obvious that it had to happen because I feel everything when we talk about dream clients in the inner circle world, it's like I nailed it.
That's exactly it,
Yeah.
right? And this is so good because it's so you can even tell in the way that you're so excited to even retell that story. It was like you were so tapped into like what she's desiring and the experiences that she's desiring, and then you're leveraging your life, like being in Japan, it being New Year, you having this experience and being
Yeah.
like, oh, wouldn't it be fun to bring this into my sales process and like capitalize on this feeling and then boom, there you go, like over 700K. It just is so, I love this so much. And, we always talk about it, but it's like the more fun that you're having, the more fun your audience is having watching you. And I know that it's easy probably to think about someone like Jeanine and think, well, yeah, it's easy though, because you're in Japan and you're traveling and you're doing this, but this is what all of you observe me doing, even in the most like mundane areas of my life. It's like, how can I make what I'm doing relevant to my $1 million client and extract the message and extract the excitement? It's not always about being in the most exciting place in the world, but it is about intimately knowing that $1 million dream client that you want to work with and being inspired by your work, by your life, by what's going on around you. And I love that you took something that had nothing to do with the online space and you bought it in as a sales process and then look at what you created. It's incredible.
And I think it's really, thank you. I think it's really not about like where we are or like it's not about going to Japan or the fancy places. For me, it's really something like if I reflect on the last 8 months, it's really like paying more attention to what's around me,
Mhm.
living more fully in the moment, and then asking myself, how can this be relevant? Like, what's a relevant, not even how can this be relevant? Like, what's a relevant lesson here for my dream client I can share?
Mhm.
And
For
this is
sure.
how for how I've been living my life. And this is like I'm receiving so many like inspiration, like insights, inspirational like stories. I feel like my own creativity is like got an upgrade.
Yeah, which is the best feeling ever. And I love that
Yeah.
you said that because we're not always going to be in an exciting place. And one of the things I love about you is like you do have this incredible life, but you also are not someone that's like big into the flat, like flashy everything. And so you're not selling from flashiness. Like rich and happy has a very different frequency for you than I know it does for other people. And for me,
Yeah.
when I talk about rich queen, it's like not just about like having designer bags or the money in the bank. It's your experience of money. It's like, to your point, how inspired can you feel in your day-to-day life? How present can you be in extracting the lesson for your audience, like today, here and now, whether it be sat here in this bedroom with you, or whether it be when I'm on vacation or with my kids or at Pilates. And I think that's always the best way of staying inspired. If you rely on anything external from you, it's difficult and you're setting yourself up for failure. And I think you've done a really, really good job of that. I love this so much. So I would love, what have been your favorite parts of the inner circle? So I know that obviously we've spoken about some of the ways that you've been able to integrate the work and like just be in that space. But when you think about the support that's inside and the things that you get access to, whether it be the calls with me, whether it be the support from the team, whether it be the women inside, what have been some of your maybe unexpected favorite parts of it? Because like you said, you were a little skeptical coming in until you did the Make Money Bundle and that changed your mind. But what kind of really, have you loved since being inside?
Um, Obviously, what I really loved was our mastermind in the beginning, like
Hmm.
really getting to know you. And I feel this was so powerful because the conversations afterwards, I felt like you just already knew me
Hmm.
from what we talked about. So this was really one of my highlights. I have to admit, I'm not someone that's like participating so much in the Tuesday calls. If I have a quick question, like I put it on the feed.
But that's what
Um,
I love. I love that you said that because part of the reason why I love to do those masterminds is because I want you to not have to attend the weekly calls and still be able to submit a question. And I know exactly who you are, what you're asking, what your business is. I have the context. So despite the fact that we have, 150 plus women inside, the space still feels intimate in the sense that you don't ever just feel like a number. Like I'm like, wait, who do you serve again? What do you do? Like, what's your business? That kind of intimacy at the start really means that then you can tap into the support and tap out of it as you need it. You don't have to be fully present every Wednesday on the calls in order to have a question answered if you have one.
yeah, for me also all the programs, how to say it, it's like so easy to implement that I actually don't have a lot of questions because I'm implementing and it's like I have to, I mean, it only has been like 8 months. So I feel like I'm just slowly adjusting and having results
Hmm.
as like traffic is coming through everything. So I think that was one of the reasons why I'm not practicing so many calls. It's like easy
Yeah.
to implement. I do, and then I understand, okay, hey, it's like I can't immediately ask you, Leanne, yesterday I've uh, started a new funnel. Can we improve it? Like, that
Yeah.
I fully understand things also need time to implement, to see, and to adjust. And this is what I'm doing. So I just love that your programs, it's really instant access to something like so powerful, I feel like to you that I
Hmm.
don't have to participate in the calls. And I think this is like a plus. Like
Oh,
I
for
love
sure. That's like the biggest compliment there is because that's how it's designed, right? The more we want you to be able to integrate, and that's exactly what you're talking about, is being able to learn and integrate. And the way that we even organize the portal and just try and keep things really clean and really easy and really effortless for everybody to follow, whether it be the plug and play templates, whether it be just like the order of the programs. I love that you have even reflected that because I think it's really important to know that you can, we have women that join and never come to a call and get insane results because they're just following and integrating the work that's inside. So I love that you even spoke to that. And yeah, the mastermind at the start was my favorite. It's like that feels like a minute ago and 100 years ago all at once.
it. And also one of my highlights is really the celebration groups and Telegram because sometimes, I mean, I feel we all have those moments, or at least I have, where I feel like it's not business not growing enough, not enough, any form of not enoughness. And then I have a harder time to celebrate myself and see how far I come. So it's very often like my go-to place where I'm like, hey, if I feel like I can't celebrate myself right now, or I have a harder time, at least let me celebrate others and their accomplishments. So I'm still on that frequency of celebration.
Mhm.
So it's really a part like I love about the inner circle, just like the celebration group.
Yeah. And we do. We have like such amazing women who genuinely, I know that it's kind of overused in the space to talk about like women supporting women or the frequency. I think every space has a frequency. And
Yeah.
something that I really pride myself on is attracting women like you who genuinely want to succeed themselves, are busy like doing their own thing and getting their head down, running their own business, but likewise are the first people to come in and celebrate other people and other women in that space. And I think this space has like a really clean frequency of people at very different parts of their journey and very different income levels and very different types of businesses. But the one thing that really remains a common thread is everyone's desire to celebrate one another. And I think we've developed a really clear and powerful culture of celebration, which is, amazing. And like you said, it's, sometimes we're on our own a lot as business owners and entrepreneurs. And so having that space that you can tap into whenever you desire is such a nice thing to have on hand.
Yes, definitely.
So, okay, so I love everything that you've shared, and I would love to know what are you most excited about then for your next few months in the inner circle. What's your kind of next focus that I know you've been really being intentional about social media, about building your funnels. Like obviously you've had some incredible wins already, but what are the things that you're most excited about in these next 3 months inside the inner circle?
So also one thing, like what I love how you are a true trailblazer. There's always something new coming. You're always evolving. And like obviously we haven't talked about Leanne AI. Really love her. Had really, I feel like to train her and like write my own social media post first from my heart and soul and
Mhm.
then give it to her and adjust.
For sure.
Before I always thought like she was using my words and I felt like you were using my words and I'm like this doesn't match. So it took me some time, I want to be honest, really to like train and adjust and like not give up. I'm like she's so powerful. I'm like literally one time I said like Leanne, not happy with you. This is not how I speak. I am not Leanne. Do not change my words. Like I get very mad and I feel this was really a turning point in our relationship. But afterwards, it's like it's mind blowing, like what she does. And this really inspired me in my own work because I've been coaching for over 6 years and women always come to me like they think it's about the money, but it's actually about opening your heart. Like finding the deepest limiting beliefs. It's like the work I do sometimes I feel it's more like a therapist than a coach. Not like just because we go so deep in the
For sure.
conversation I'm having with my clients and really sometimes pulling out the gold from their heart and in their story and in their path that we've built. It's called like Ask Jeanine and it's based on
That's
Leanne.
funny. That's almost what we called Leanne I. We almost called it Ask Leanne. And then I was like,
Ah.
and then I was like, no, it's not right. It's not right. I was like, I don't want to. I was like, something about. I loved the name, but I was like, something's not resonating. And then I flipped it to Leanne I. So that's really funny because I almost put it as Ask Leanne.
Ah. Yeah, so we've been testing it like with current clients, and it's like so mind-blowing because said like I've been to going to therapy for the last 3 years and we couldn't find out this, what I'm having in one like AI session. So it's really mind blowing, and I'm really super excited to roll this out. And just also want to say thank you for like, I feel like always coming up with like the newest or using the newest technology in such a powerful way. And it was on my heart and soul for such a long time, but really seeing you taking the step, like being the trailblazer, see the output really encouraged me. I'm like, yeah, let's do this. Like,
Mhm.
let's use it.
I love that so much. That makes me so happy. I think it's so incredible and being able to take our wisdom and our knowledge and the depth of who we are and put that into something to support our clients at a deeper level
Yeah.
is just such an incredible gift of technology. That even I resisted, for longer than I should have. But to your point, it's so cool being in a space with so many women that are innovating and are open, like you said, like open to doing the work, are patient, are kind, are looking at things in a different way. Like not everything works the first time, whether it be Leanne AI, whether it be the funnels that you're building building. And I think that we just have such an incredible culture of attracting women like you who are willing to do the work. And that's why you get the results that you get. And that's why you've always got the results that you've gotten. And that's why we attract exceptional humans, because I always say that you're the exception because you're exceptional. And that definitely goes for so many of the incredible humans in my world. And you're such a good example of that. So I'm so glad that that's inspired you to do the same for your clients. So my final question to you would be, there, like you said, and I'm glad that you shared that because I think it's important that we talk about it, is that it's okay to have a healthy amount of skepticism in the marketplace because, like you, I think so many women, include myself included, have made investments that maybe were like, in hindsight, I probably should have asked more questions or done a bit more due diligence. But I would love for you, what would you say to someone that is thinking about investing inside the inner circle, but has, maybe is healthy skeptical like you were? And I actually don't think that's a bad thing. I think that's something that we should celebrate more in women because I think we should all be discerning around where we invest our cash. But I would love to know what you would say to someone that's considering joining the inner circle, but maybe has invested in things that has had a similar experience to you.
Um, definitely acknowledge this feeling you have. And I feel there's so often said like you have to go all in, as I'm like me saying like, oh, if you have this feeling, like do it. It's an amazing thing. You have to go all in. And I really want to say I'm like, I didn't go all in the first time. I bought the Make Money bundle first and afterwards. So there's so many steps in your world where you always can upgrade.
For
And I
sure.
think what I want to say is like allow yourself to take the steps which feel aligned. Maybe it's a Make Money bundle first.
Yeah.
Maybe it is She Makes Banks. And then you always can go all in. The inner circle's there. It's an amazing space. And I think it's okay for everybody to try a couple of your programs before because they're all
Oh,
amazing.
agree. I'm like,
Yeah,
there's so many ways to be in my world. And I always tell everyone, I'm like, hey, I'm not going anywhere, and neither is my work. And to
yeah.
Janine's point, I love that you started with the Make Money bundle and so many women come in through my into my world. And that was intentional. I was like, imagine if someone comes in and this is the only thing they ever buy from me and they just get insane results. I'm like, I'm good with that. Or I'm also amazing if you do want to upgrade and you want to come into the inner circle, you want to come into She Makes Bank, or maybe you just want to come into Leanne AI. There are so many incredible ways to be in my world. Obviously, I'm biased. The inner circle is my favorite, but the reason being that I love to get to know people in depth, and that's what's so fun. And that was what's been so fun about having you in my world is having a space where even though you don't come to the calls on a weekly basis because of that time that we spent together in the start with the mastermind, I feel like I have a depth of knowing you that I wouldn't necessarily have if you just had obviously just done the program. So I do love the opportunity to get to know some incredible women, and we definitely have incredible humans inside the inner circle. Like, and Jeanine is a really good example of what that looks like. So I'm so glad that you shared that because I think you're right. There are so many amazing ways of getting incredible results, like your $497 investment that turned into like a $15,000 sale or whatever it was from the Stories That Sell program. Whatever ROI that is pretty good. You should be able to tell us that as the former investment banker. Uh, but I love this so much. Thank you so much for your time. I'm so grateful, and I can't wait for all of you to check out Jeanine and her incredible work. She's just such an amazing human, as you can tell. She's got such a softness to her and a depth and a wisdom that is so calming to be around. And I know so many of the women inside the inner circle and inside my world just love being around you and your incredible wisdom and your incredible knowledge. Now, Instagram is probably the best place to go and find her. And obviously, we're going to tag her wherever you listen to this or see this. So you'll be able to just instantly click either below in the caption or on the podcast. But her handle is @_rich and happy. So go and find her and find more about her incredible work. Jeanine, thank you so much for joining us today. I appreciate you so much.
Thank you so much, Leanne. I love you.
I'm excited to do the next 3 months with you. I love you so much.